guys, welcome back to my channel. I have got a brand new foundation here in front of me that we are going to unbox and try out together today. There's been a couple new foundations that I've had my eye on lately that a lot of people have been raving about, so I did some research and decided to pick up the new Nars Light Reflecting Foundation. So we're going to try this bad boy out today. I haven't even opened the box. I'm crossing my fingers that I got the shade match right. Again, I've heard some buzz about this foundation, and when I was reading reviews on the Sephora website, it had me sold pretty quickly. Some of those reviews sounded pretty incredible. So we're going to test this out today together. I'm going to put it on for you guys and I'll finish the rest of my makeup, and then we're going to do a check-in in a couple of hours in natural light. I'm going to let you guys see how it looks in natural light. I hope you guys are excited about it. If you are new to my channel, I want to give you a special welcome. I hope you enjoyed this video today, and if you do, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you leave. Also, if you'd like to be notified every time I upload a new video, make sure that you have your notification bell turned on. And with that said, let's get right into the foundation. Okay, so again, haven't even unboxed this one yet. I have to also say, this is the first Nars foundation I have ever tried. In fact, I've never bought a Nars product that wasn't sold at Marshall's. Like, I've never bought something brand new from Nars that was full price. So here it is right here. It is 1 fluid ounce. Let me just read a little bit about this one. Just a couple bullet points here. It says it improves skin radiance by 61%, more even skin tone by 93%. Where do they get these numbers? They're so very scientific. And then it says, see your skin in its best light. Light reflecting foundation instantly diffuses light to blur imperfections. That sounds great. And smooth the look of skin. Powered by skincare ingredients, this product strengthens skin's barrier to maintain moisture day by day. I really should have my glasses on. This formula visibly improves skin's clarity even after makeup is removed. Medium buildable coverage, natural finish, breathable, all day wear. All right, that sounds great. Supposedly it is long wearing, which I am not opposed to, especially if it's hydrating. I think it's always hard to find a hydrating foundation that wears well. I'll insert a close-up for you guys right here of the jar, of the pump, and also a little swatch on my hand so you guys can have a closer look at it. Shade-wise, I mean, just in the jar, I think it's going to be pretty close. Probably more of a summer shade for me. I'm kind of in between right now because I have been using a little bit of self-tanner recently, even though I am very fair underneath that self-tanner. But hopefully in a few more months that will change. So here's just one small pump. Okay, I think we can get this to work for me. It might be a little bit deep on me, and I should probably tell you the shade. I went with the shade 3.5 Salzburg. There it is, kind of blended out on the back of my hand. I think this might be a little bit dark for me today. Maybe I'll do some highlighting with my concealer, like use a lighter shade with my concealer. I'm just doing 2 full pumps there to start with. If I had to pick my preferred form of application, I'd probably go with a sponge. I kind of go back and forth between hands, sponge, and a brush. Sponge tends to be the one I go back to the most. I'm going to first just kind of dab this on my skin. By the way, before I turned my camera on, I did apply a little bit of the Smashbox Primerizer as a primer. And I do have a lot of things to cover today. So let's hope this foundation can take care of those. Okay, so the shade is definitely a little dark for me. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be okay. I think with some lighter concealer and just some really good blending around the edges, I think I can get this shade to work okay for me. I'm going to apply just a little bit more to my neck than I would normally, just to make sure we're not seeing where the foundation starts and where it ends. So I would love to know if you guys have tried this one. When I say there were a few I was considering, it was between this one and the new Charlotte Tilbury. Those are the 2 that I was eyeing, but as I was reading reviews, this one seemed to have more rave reviews on it. The Charlotte Tilbury, I think this one had 615 4.5-star reviews on Sephora's website. And I want to say the Charlotte Tilbury off the top of my head was more around like just the solid 4-star review mark. Okay, so there are 2 pumps with a sponge. It feels really nice and natural. I kind of was assuming that this would be a dewy foundation. I mean, it looks nice, but it doesn't feel as dewy as what I was maybe imagining it might feel like. I guess when I hear light reflecting, I assume something like really hydrating and dewy. And while I wouldn't say it's not hydrating, at least so far, I was thinking something more along the lines of like this, like ultra dewy, ultra glowy. But as far as how it feels much more of a natural finish. I don't know. I'm like, where are the light reflecting qualities? That's something that I think is going to be a little harder to distinguish initially. I mean, I don't want a foundation that's going to look like, say, this right here. No, I love this stuff, but probably a little too glowy for a foundation. So I probably need to look at this in the natural light, use it a few times. But so far so good. I feel like I have a solid medium coverage, and that was with 2 pumps. Not a lot comes out in 1 pump, which I actually like. I like when foundations that have a pump don't give too much out in that first pump, because sometimes if you go in with a full pump and it's a little too much, I feel like you waste foundation. So I think that is good for now. Let's finish off with the rest of my makeup. I'm going to start off with some concealer. We're going to use my L'Oreal True Match Eye Cream in a concealer today. I have 2 shades of this one, W34 and W12. Combining these 2 equal parts. I'm actually still trying to test out this concealer. I've used it probably 5 or 6 times, and I still can't decide what I think about it. It's a very interesting formula. If you haven't used this, it's super... It really is like if you were to take your concealer and combine it with a moisturizer. I mean, it has like a moisturizer kind of quality to it, but I'd say it has decent coverage. I mean, probably not as high coverage as some of my favorite more full coverage concealers, but it has pretty good coverage considering it's super hydrating. By the way, I've never actually applied this with a brush before, and I'm actually thinking it doesn't work very well with a brush. I think it works better with a sponge. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tap it on initially with a brush. I've got all kinds of breakouts down here, and I'm still narrowing down what caused the breakout. So I simultaneously tried out 2 different foundations, 3 different concealers, and a new moisturizer that I've tried out in the last month. And one of those is breaking me out, and I'm trying to narrow down what it is. I haven't quite narrowed it down yet. I feel like I need to really like make some sort of chart and do some like real science to figure out what's causing it. Of course, today's not gonna help that, but I don't know what's going on with my skin. Normally I have pretty good skin as far as breakouts. I mean, don't get me wrong, you guys. I'm 40 years old and I feel like I look 40 as far as like wrinkles and sunspots and all that kind of stuff that a lot of us 40-year-olds deal with. But I'm fortunate that I don't deal with breakouts very often. So to add the breakouts on top of the other skin issues has been like, it's been a reminder to me that I need to stop complaining about my wrinkles. At least I don't get breakouts. I know some people do in their 40s still, and I'm fortunate that, knock on wood, I don't typically. Okay, I feel like that did help lighten up the center of my face and give me just a little bit more coverage. However, this bad boy needs some heavy duty stuff. So we're gonna go with a stick concealer. I have the Bare Minerals Bare Pro concealer. This one is in the shade Fairlight Neutral 03. I'm gonna take just a little bit of this on that brush that I used initially. It's the Rephr number 32. It's a newer brush from them. And we're gonna just kind of apply this on some of those more stubborn spots that need a thicker concealer. Now I am going to add just a little bit of powder. I actually don't want to powder the foundation because I want to see how much this settles into my fine lines without powdering it. And also because it's not super dewy. I mean, it did have a good satiny finish, like a natural finish, I would say. I don't know that it needs powder, so I don't want to powder it initially, but I do want to go back and just powder a couple of these little spots I just put concealer on in hopes that they'll stay covered. There we go. I feel like the skin looks pretty nice. So far, so good. Let's move on to the rest of the face, starting with a bronzer contour. I'm going to take my Kiko sculpting stick. This one's in the shade 200. I'm going to take that with the Rephr number 17, this kind of small flat brush. I used this with my Fenty bronzer recently and really liked it. Okay, I'm gonna go with my highlighter next. We're gonna take my Laura Mercier highlighter. This is their Matte Radiance Baked Powder in Highlight 01. I'm gonna take that on my Luxie highlighting brush. This is more of a subtle highlight. It's not too subtle for me. Now for blush today, I want to try this as a blush. This is actually a lip tint that I just got in the K-Beauty video that I posted recently. I got this from YesStyle. It's the Roman Juicy Lasting Tint. It's in the shade Nucadamia, and here is the shade. I didn't love this on my lips, but when I did use it on my lips, I instantly thought this would make a really nice blush. Look at that beautiful color. So we're gonna try that on this brush right here. It's my Alter Ego number, I always forget the number, this one, the number 4. It smells so good. Like a subtle, it smells like apple juice, honestly. Like real apple juice though, not like fake Jolly Rancher apple juice. That's really pretty, really pretty. Dewy but not greasy finish. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Juicy Pang water blushers, the finish and kind of the texture of it. And there are the finished cheeks. That looks great. Let's move on to the brow. So let's start with my e.l.f. wax brow. I just want to put a little bit of this into my brows, and we're going to brush those up with my ColourPop spoolie. Then we're going to take a tiny bit of this. This is the Benefit Precisely My Brow in the shade 3. This is actually travel size of it. It's not like the big fancy silver one. I'm pretty sure I got this with 100 bonus points at Sephora. And then I'm going to set those down with a little bit of the e.l.f. Wow Brow in the shade Taupe. There we go. Let's move on to the eyes. Let's see, what do we want to use for the eyes today? I really want to go back and use the Sydney Grace palette, use some of the bronzes. I have used them already, at least these top ones. I kind of wanted to dip into like this bronze, but I just used that palette for you guys, so I feel like I should use something else. Let's go with this right here. Let's go with the Natasha Denona Glam. I've got this in my little stash right now and I haven't used it yet. It's been there for about a month. It is one of my favorites and it's been a little while, so we're going to just go in with this one right here. Let's start off with this shade up here, which is the shade Crease. Oh, I forget. That's one of my, truly it is my only complaint with this palette. I wish they would have actually named the shades. Makes it hard for YouTube videos. For everyday use, it's not really a big deal, but I'm just going to start with this shade. Ooh, I forgot how dark this shade is. It's actually darker than it looks. It's been a while since I've used this palette, but that's okay. Now on top of that, I'm going to add a little bit of this warmer brown. Right there, the shade Blend. I'm actually going to put that right on top just to warm that up a little bit, maybe a little bit higher than I put that last shade because it was a little bit darker than I anticipated. That's a little better. Now let's take, ooh, what do I want to do next? Actually, you know what I want to do? I want to go in with a concealer just on the center of my lid. I'm going to take this concealer right here. This is from Hope Girl, it's a K-Beauty brand. So I'm going to take a tiny dot of this very light concealer and we're going to pop a tiny bit of this on the inner part of my lid. I'm going to use my Rougher number 21 brush. Just take that concealer, place it on the inner half of my lid just to really brighten that up. Then let's take this shade down here in the center, which is the Center Eyelid shade. There are a couple of those. Yeah, there's like 3 shades called Center Eyelid. So the one in the middle at the bottom. Ooh, I love this shade though. It's so pretty. It's kind of a gold, but it's also not too brassy or warm. But it has a little more color or gold in it than like just a traditional champagne. And actually I'm going to wipe off that brush that I applied the concealer with, and we're going to use that brush to get that inner corner because my nails are too long. Trying out my last set of the Olive and June press-on nails that they sent me. I do want to do a review video soon of some of the makeup I've been trying recently and some nail products I've been trying. So keep an eye out for my thoughts on these in that video. I will just give you guys a little bit of a spoiler. There are a couple things I absolutely love about them and a couple things that I don't love so much about them. But okay, that looks great. Let's add a little bit to the lower lash line. I'm going to go with that warmer brown that we used right there. And we're going to run that just under the outer half of the lower lash line. This palette is so good. Looks like nothing special. I don't know. No, it does look like something special, but you could look at this and think it was boring, but then you use it and realize, man, this creates some really beautiful, beautiful looks. Let's add a little bit of depth to the outer corner just with this shade right here, that smoke shade, that dark brown right there. And that I want to put down. Let's take my Rougher number 14 brush, take a little bit on the tip of the brush and just slowly kind of smoke this outer corner slash lash line out. Don't want to go too dark. I have parent-teacher conference tonight. I don't want to be too smoky. Okay, that's it for eyeshadow. I'm going to go and add a little bit of liner, my Wet n Wild liner, and a couple coats of my Pat McGrath Fetishized mascara. Then I'll come back and we'll finish off the lips. Okay, eyes are finished. Let's move on to the lips. I'm going to start off with a little bit of my Milani Understatement lip liner in the shade 110. Actually, you know what guys, I'm actually not loving this lip liner that much. I thought I would maybe use it one more time, but then I started thinking about it and I was like, I've actually used it like 5 or 6 times now. I like these lip liners better. They're kind of annoying to sharpen, but I like that they're not overly creamy. This one is just a little too creamy for my liking, and it tends to feather in my, I have like 2 really strong lines on the top of my lips, and it settles into them, whereas this one doesn't do that quite so bad. It's a little bit more stiff. By the way, this one is in the shade 03 Nude. Seeing as they don't sell these at my drugstore anymore, I probably should try and, if I can find them on Ulta's website still, I better stock up while I have them on there. Now for my lipstick, I'm going to take my Charlotte Tilbury JK Magic. And on top of that, we're going to add just a tiny bit in the center of my Sydney Grace lip cream in the shade Bailey. I hate that they rhyme. I have Kaylee and Bailey, which makes it very confusing. And this one doesn't have a sticker on the bottom, so I have to remember that this one is named that. I'm just going to put it right in the center. There we have it. Let's add some setting spray. I'm going to take my ColourPop Pretty Fresh setting spray. And this is the finished look so far. So a couple things as far as, it's been probably about 35 minutes since I put the foundation on initially. Still feels great on my skin. My skin feels just really, it almost doesn't feel like I have makeup on. It's really, really lightweight. It doesn't feel heavy at all. It doesn't feel greasy at all, which sometimes I like the feeling of like a really hydrating foundation because my skin is so dry. This just feels like I don't have anything on, which I would say is a good thing. As far as how it looks, I'd say it gives a solid medium coverage. Again, I did use 2 full pumps of this, which the pumps were not a lot of product in 1 pump. So I feel like you probably would need 2 pumps when you use this. But I feel like I did a pretty good job of covering some of the minor stuff on my face, which is really all that most of my foundations will cover. Even my really high coverage foundations probably would not have covered this little guy up. This one needed some serious concealer to cover up today. But so far so good. I'm going to hang out in this foundation for about 2 or 3 hours. Then I'm going to come back this afternoon before the sun is too low, before I run out of natural light. And we're going to do a little check-in in natural light. See how it looks, see if it's settled into the lines on my forehead. So far it has not, which that's pretty impressive considering that I have pretty strong forehead lines and a lot of things settle into them really, really quickly. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'll be back in a little bit to check in with you guys. Okay guys, it is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's been on for about 3 hours now, so quick little check-in. I think it looks really, really good. I'm actually most surprised at how little settling I have, especially considering I didn't powder it. My forehead looks a lot more smooth than it typically does after applying really any foundation, especially if I haven't powdered it. I get a lot of settling in my forehead lines, but they look really nice and smooth. I feel like it almost, maybe, dare I say it, blurred them. I don't want to make that statement quite yet. I'm going to keep using it and I'll keep you guys posted, but so far so good. I feel like it's wearing pretty well. It has only been about 4 hours. I will let you guys know down in the description box down below how it wore by the end of the day. I'll check on it before I wash my face tonight and just see if I notice anything different. Coverage wise, again, I'd say it's just a solid medium. It's not gonna give you real high coverage, but I am gonna keep playing with it, trying to build it up a little bit more, applying it different ways. But I've gotta say, so far I am pretty impressed. I feel like my skin looks pretty good. Glow wise, I know this is supposed to be a light reflecting foundation. I don't know. I don't know that I'd say it's glowy, but surprisingly my skin looks really hydrated considering that it's not like greasy or dewy in any way. So right now, after this quick first impression, I'd say I'd give it a solid 4.5 stars. Like, I think that rating that I got was pretty spot on. I will keep playing with it, keep you guys posted soon. Again, check that description box down below, and I will come back soon and do a review video on some of the other new makeup that I've been trying. I'll be sure to throw this one into that review video. So yeah, very impressed so far. And that's it for today, you guys. Thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this one. I would love to know if you have tried out this foundation. How did it work for you? What did you think of it? Are there other foundations out there that you guys are currently loving, whether they're high-end or drugstore? I'd love to hear that down below. Thank you guys for watching today. Hope you guys are doing well. Let me give you one more reminder. If you haven't subscribed, please do that before you leave. But that is all I have for you guys for now. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.